What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locks DFS MLB breakdown. I'm your host, Christian Hardy, at ByHardy on Twitter. I'm from LocksDFS.com, ready to break down this little a small four-game MLB slate for this Thursday, June 27th. Going to be an interesting little slate here with some clear options. I'm going to be getting into it soon, but before we get into any of that, be sure to comment on this video. Comment with your home run call, maybe your favorite pitcher that I'm going to be talking about. Pretty much all the pitchers on the slate, to be honest with you, but maybe a guy who you're locked in on, whether it be a team stack, or make your home run call. I'll be making home run calls at the end of this video, so be sure to stick around for that. And also, if you're not a member yet, be sure to check us out at LocksDFS.com. I should say that if you comment, you'll have a chance to win a free season pass. I don't know why I didn't get to that. We give them away every day on Monday. Be sure to just leave that comment, and we'll go back over the week, and on Monday we'll announce our winner of a free season pass to LocksDFS.com. We do that every single week, so keep coming back, keep watching the videos, and we will be giving them back to you, a little bit back to you guys for watching. And if you're not a member yet, be sure to check us out, LocksDFS.com. Cop one of these one sport passive for MLB. We have our lock sheet going through basically player grades, if we're there, cash plays, GPP plays, value plays, all the players that we're considering on the slate. If you get in our Slack, we'll talk to you about your lineup construction and where you think you went wrong, where you should be improving, all that sort of good stuff. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get into this little four-game slate with a very clear top pitching option on the slate. There's going to be the SP1, and I would assume will be the most chalky option in cash games. It's possible he might not be because of this price, but because of the short side, I think a lot of people will be going to Steven Strasburg. He has 11.9K going up against the Marlins. Strasburg is extremely dominant on right-handed pitching or right-handed batting. If we're going to look at the pitch type app from AddMoreFunds.com, go ahead and check that out and donate to them on Patreon. Definitely a very helpful tool they have here. You could look at him versus righties on the year. You got a 251 xWOBA, but 14% swinging strike, 14.8% swinging strike rate with 29% K rate to righties. He's going to be facing 7 righties today. One of them being the pitcher. Even versus lefties, he is very, very dominant with a 15% swinging strike rate to lefties this season. If we're going back to last year, similar numbers. Swinging strike rates up over 13.5% to both hands. Definitely someone that I think you should be looking at as your SB1 today, and that is where I will be going against the Miami Marlins, who are just not very good versus righties. I believe they are the second worst in the league with an over 25% K rate on the year. So that's going to be the SB1. Let's go ahead and get to the SB2, which for me is going to come down to this game right here, the Diamondbacks versus the Giants, Tyler Beede versus Alex Young. Before we get into that, I wanted to say I think Walker Buehler makes for an interesting GBP play. Of course, 8.9K. He's going to be very hard to afford if you are going to be going with Strasburg. So if you're going to be playing him in GPPs, you're probably going to be fading Strasburg, to be honest with you. But he makes a lot of sense, obviously, coming off a massive performance in his last game. Let me just get the numbers for you against the Rockies. 111 pitches. He pitched a complete game shutout, 16 strikeouts, which is absolutely absurd. Walker Buehler had a fantastic game. He's priced down here in this spot against the Rockies. Of course, he's pitching at Coors Field, and of course, he's facing the third highest team total on the slate, but still, he's a very, very dominant pitcher, and he comes into a very good spot. That said, he's not going to be able to be someone that I'm going to be being able to afford in cash games as my SB2. So I'm going to be looking at more Tyler Beede and Alex Young. Alex Young making his debut against the Giants team that is one of the worst in the league versus lefties. However, they don't strike out a ton. They strike out around, I believe they strike out around 25%. That's actually pretty solid, 24.5%. So, pretty solid strikeout rate, 63 WRC plus versus lefty this season. They have definitely struggled. Of course, with Young, I was looking at his MILB profile, and we're looking at, I'm expecting something like this as he gets called to the majors. He has had 96 start. He's started 96 and 94 pitches. That's what he's been topped out at. But his first few starts this year, he threw 71, 75, 78, 70, 73. I would expect him to be more in that range. So that's kind of what you're getting with Alex Young. You're getting a pretty good matchup, a slightly better matchup than Bede's going to have, and we'll get to him in a second. But we're going to be getting a little bit less pitches. He is a guy who does average over a K per 9 this season. He boosted that from last year. I don't know if that's something that is going to be sustained or not, but as we see, is 10.5 K per 9, which is very solid, 4.3 xFIP. So solid numbers. Someone that I'm not too afraid to target. I'm totally fine with playing him in cash games, especially in the matchup with a bunch of strikeouts in this lineup, especially here at the bottom. So the other option is Tyler Beede, a guy who has been really, really mashed by lefties in his career so far this year. He's a Giants prospect who really hasn't found his footing yet in the majors. As you can see here, he's got a 5.92 xFIP to lefties, 4.76 xFIP to righties. hard contact over 40% to lefties and 35% to righties. So someone who has really not fared well in the major leagues so far. I mean, let's just be very clear. That said, both these pitchers are going to be in a very good park. Even a park that even with hard hits, they can definitely not only stay in the field but stay in play for the fielders, for the outfielders. On both sides of this, you basically have a situation where you can play hitters on either side of this game, in my opinion. You can target the lefties versus Bede. Peralta's very cheap. Dyson's very cheap. Even Adam Jones, who of course is a righty, is also pretty cheap as a guy who can maybe steal a base here and there. Alex Young, the only concern with me and why I prefer Bede to Young slightly right now is because you are going to be getting... Why I prefer Bede to Young is because Young is going to be on that pitch count. Basically, I'd assume he's going to be around 78 pitches, as I said, in his first career start. I don't expect him to really stretch him out in this start. So that's the slight reason I prefer Bede, but I do think that Young is interesting, and he does have a slightly better matchup, as Diamondbacks are only striking at about 22% and have about an 88 WRC plus against righties this season, which is much better than the Giants' 63 WRC plus versus lefties this year. So definitely an interesting situation. Both are going to be in play for me, and I'm definitely going to be looking out to see if we hear anything about Alex Young's pitch count as we get closer to lock. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the hitters now real quick. And the very clear top spot on the slate is going to be the Dodgers with a 7.2 team total against Peter Lambert. Let's go ahead and pull up. I thought I had Peter Lambert pulled up, but apparently I do not. Lambert is a guy who made his debut this year in the majors. He is a mid-level prospect for the Rockies. Nothing too crazy. As you can see, he's actually been pretty solid so far this year, but he's giving up a ton of home runs to lefties. 2.35 home run per nine, 3.79 xFIP, however, so that should come down. But 4.52 xFIP to righties. He's giving up a 58.3% hard contact right to lefties. He is a very heavy ground ball pitcher, which is one thing that is going to play well in Coors. That said, that hard contact versus lefties in a lineup that is going to be a lot of lefties is definitely going to be something he's going to struggle with. So I'm fine with targeting any of these Dodgers. Basically, any of them that you can fit into your lineup, I'm more than interested in. However, I think Bellinger is still the top play on this team, considering that the rest of these guys are priced up so close to him that I think he ends up becoming the top play. Verdugo is a guy who makes a lot of good contact and should play well in Coors. Jock is fine with me. He has a lot of power, a guy who Coors is definitely going to help. Hits a lot of fly balls despite his strikeouts. Muncy, another guy, very good play. And then basically anyone who cracks the top of the lineup who's going to be under 5K is going to be interesting to me. So if we see, I'm not sure exactly how expensive Kike is, but if he ends up in the lineup versus a righty, he would be interesting to me, 4,800. But I don't think he's going to be up in the top. I think we're going to be seeing most of these lefties in here. Still going to be interested in these guys, Bellinger, Verdugo, Peterson, and then Turner is fine with me too at 4.9K. But of course, you're not going to be able to get to all these guys. So definitely going to be, if you're in GPP, is going to be mixing and matching and seeing what you can do with them. And then after that, so of course we got the Dodgers. They are a very clear top option on the slate. You basically got Tanner Anderson, another very heavy ground ball pitcher coming up against the Angels here. Let's go and pull up his numbers so far. He does not have a lot of experience in the majors, as do a lot of pitchers on the slate, unfortunately. But let's pull up his career numbers. As you can see, a 6.26 xFIP to lefties, the 1.69 home run per nine. Despite a very heavy ground ball rate, that home run rate is pretty wild with a 48% hard contact rate to lefties. So Shohei Ohtani is someone who really stands out to me on this team at 4.7K. I like the price on him. La Stella, even the price on him is fine. Calhoun down here, especially if he bats 5 or 6, depending on if Simmons is in, he's interesting to me as well. So I'm definitely gonna be targeting the lefties. The righties aren't as interesting to me, but Justin Upton's price is fine. And with Trout, I'm just gonna be preferring the guys in the Dodgers game. One spot I want to talk about on the other side of this game is going to be Chris Davis at 3.8K, guy who can hit righties very, very well, and Canning, a guy who throws hard, gets a lot of strikeouts, but also gives up some hard hits here and there. Chris Davis is someone who I think can maybe get to him today, and I think I think I can see myself taking a chance as a value outfielder on Chris Davis against Canning with his hard contact numbers. Lastly, like I said, you could definitely target some guys on the other side of this game. Even if I have Bede, I could definitely see myself landing on someone like Peralta in my cash games. I think that's okay just because you're on such a compact slate. I'm not going to be playing really any of these Rockies against Walker Buehler, even though they do have the second highest team total. None of these guys really stand out to me in terms of prices. Maybe Garrett Hampson down here at 3.3 is someone I could play, but none of these guys are really cheap enough for me to get to. against Walker Buehler. Just not really going to be looking there in a matchup against a premier pitcher. So, really going to be trying to eke out some value in these games. Tyler Austin versus a lefty makes a little bit of sense. Buster Posey is real cheap versus a lefty. Longoria is real cheap versus a lefty. And they're all going to be hitting lefties a little bit better. So, those guys all make a little bit of sense to me if you're trying to save some money. Basically, whichever side of this game you're not on in terms of pitching, you can definitely go ahead and get some bats from the other side. And I think the popular option of that is going to be what I just said, is going to be Beede being the more popular option and being maybe a Tyler Austin, Buster Posey, Longoria, those type of guys to save some money with Strasburg and then Beede and Young in cash games. That said, with all the numbers against Beede, I'm definitely not opposed to taking some lefties for the Diamondbacks. That said, let's go ahead and get into my home run calls. The first one, I've talked about both these guys already, so neither of these home run calls are going to be a surprise to you guys. First one is going to be Cody Bellinger at 5.9K. As you can see, he has this little probable tag next to him. He should be okay to play. Not too worried about that. If he isn't in the lineup, my other home run call will just be Jock. Basically, just got to take a Dodger. So it's going to be Bellinger my home run call. If he's not in, make it Jock. And then under 4K, we are pretty limited in our options. The two guys I was considering were Tyler Austin and Chris Davis. I am going to slightly lean toward Chris Davis, just a better hitter. Even if we're looking at Tyler Austin numbers versus lefties, they are pretty good. But actually, those are actually very shocking numbers to me. I did not know he hit that well versus lefties. That said, Chris Davis, a guy who can hit righties very, very well, and is going to get a positive park shift going to Los Angeles against Griffin Canning, who gives a lot of hard hits to righties. So Davis gave me my official home run call, but I do think that Austin, with those numbers against lefties, is definitely going to be interesting. Someone I could be going to with some multi-position eligibility, especially if I am not playing Alex Young. So with all that said, be sure to comment with your home run call. Make it maybe your favorite pitcher, maybe on the side, which side you're favoring on Beede, Young. Definitely interested to hear where you guys are going on that. With Beede having better strikeout stuff, Young having some good strikeout stuff in the minors, Beede having a slightly worse matchup, but Young also is getting the better matchup, but is also going to be on a pitch count. So it's just an interesting situation in terms of SP2. I do think that those three pitchers will be the highest owned in cash games. Don't see it really going any other way. With all that said, like I said, be sure to comment. We really appreciate it. Helps out a lot, and you'll have a chance to win that free season pass. And with all that said, we will see you guys next time back here tomorrow with Addy's Friday Breakdown. See you guys then.